That's exactly what happened at Ashford's Bistro last Tuesday night. A customer captured it all on camera. The owner, Marcus Ashford, a man who owns 12 high-end restaurants and drives a $200,000 car, reaching into the jar and pocketing cash meant for servers, making minimum wage. The video hit TikTok, and within 24 hours, his entire world came crashing down. It was supposed to be just another Tuesday night at Ashford's Bistro in downtown Boston. The restaurant was buzzing with the usual crowd, couples on dates, business dinners, tourists trying the famous lobster risotto. In the corner booth, a woman named Rachel Chen sat with her husband, celebrating their anniversary. She had her phone out, recording a quick video of the restaurant's ambience to post on Instagram later. That's when she saw something that made her pause. Behind the hostess stand, near the entrance, there was a large glass jar. It was the communal tip jar, the one where customers could leave extra cash for the staff. Rachel had noticed it when they walked in and had already dropped a 20 in there herself. But now, she watched as a man in an expensive suit walked up to the jar, looked around quickly, and reached inside. At first, she thought maybe he was the manager, checking the cash or organizing the bills. But then she zoomed in slightly with her camera. The man wasn't organizing anything. He was taking the money out, folding it, and slipping it into his pocket. Rachel kept recording. Her husband noticed her expression and whispered, "What's wrong?" She didn't answer. She just kept the camera steady, capturing every second. The man took one more glance around the restaurant, grabbed another bill, and walked away like nothing had happened. Later that night, Rachel looked up the restaurant online, and there he was, Marcus Ashford, the owner, a real estate mogul who had built a small empire of upscale dining spots across New England. His net worth was estimated at $87 million, and he had just stolen tips from his own employees. Rachel didn't hesitate. She uploaded the video to TikTok with a simple caption, "Millionaire restaurant owner caught stealing from his own staff's tip jar. Ashford's Bistro, Boston. Share this." The video went live at 11:47 p.m. By sunrise, it had 2 million views. The internet moves fast, especially when there's a villain involved. And Marcus Ashford had just become the internet's newest target. Within hours, the video had spread beyond TikTok. It hit Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, and even LinkedIn. People weren't just watching, they were investigating. One user found Ashford's business profile. He owned 12 restaurants across Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. His personal Instagram showed photos of luxury vacations, designer watches, and his $4.5 million penthouse overlooking Boston Harbor. Meanwhile, former employees began flooding the comment sections with their own stories. One server wrote, "I worked there for 2 years. He would dock our pay for the smallest mistakes, and now I see him literally stealing our tips." Another said, "He made us split tips with the kitchen staff, which is illegal in Massachusetts. We were too scared to report it." The stories kept coming. Tales of wage theft, verbal abuse, and a toxic work environment. People who had stayed silent for years suddenly felt empowered to speak up. The video wasn't just proof of one bad moment, it was the final straw that broke open years of mistreatment. And then, things escalated even further. By Wednesday morning, protesters had gathered outside Ashford's Bistro. They carried signs that read, "Pay your staff and tips are not yours." Local news stations showed up. Camera crews filmed the crowd. Inside the restaurant, employees were making a decision of their own. At 10 a.m., the entire front of house staff walked out. Servers, hosts, bartenders, all of them. They gathered on the sidewalk and gave interviews to reporters. One server, a young woman named Emma, spoke directly to the camera. "We've been underpaid and overworked for years," she said, her voice shaking but firm. "And to see him steal from us, from the jar we depend on to pay rent, that was the last straw. We're done." The walkout went viral too. Within hours, 2 more of Ashford's restaurants experienced the same thing. Staff walked out mid-shift, leaving tables unserved and kitchens empty. Customers who had reservations showed up to locked doors and handwritten signs that said, "Closed due to staff resignation." The backlash was swift and unrelenting. But Marcus Ashford, he stayed silent. No statement, no apology, nothing. And that silence made everything worse. Social media exploded with theories. Some said he was hiding. Others claimed he was meeting with lawyers. A few even joked that he was too busy counting his stolen tip money. Memes flooded every platform. One showed his face photoshopped onto a cartoon villain. Another was a screenshot of his luxury car with the caption, "Bought with your tips." But the jokes masked something more serious. People were angry. Not just internet angry, genuinely furious. Because this wasn't about $40 or $50. It was about power. About a man who had everything and still took from people who had almost nothing. And the consequences? They came fast. By Thursday afternoon, one of Ashford's biggest investors released a public statement distancing himself from the restaurants. "We do not condone this behavior," it read. "We are reviewing our partnership and considering all options." Translation: they were pulling out. Then came the health inspections. Suddenly, 3 of Ashford's restaurants were flagged for violations that had somehow been overlooked before. Expired ingredients, improper food storage. It was almost as if authorities had decided to take a closer look now that the spotlight was on him. And then, the blow. 2 of his head chefs, both well-known names in the Boston food scene, announced they were leaving. They posted nearly identical messages on Instagram. "I cannot in good conscience continue to work for someone who exploits their staff. Effective immediately, I resign." That was the moment Marcus Ashford realized he couldn't stay silent any longer. On Friday morning, exactly 3 days after the video went viral, his PR team released a statement. But it was too little, too late. And the statement itself? It only made things worse. The statement was posted on Ashford's Bistro's official Instagram account. It was long, carefully worded, and clearly written by a lawyer. It started with an apology, sort of. "I deeply regret the misunderstanding that occurred this week." It began. What was captured on video was taken out of context. Out of context. Those 3 words ignited a new wave of fury. The statement went on to explain that Ashford had been checking the cash to ensure proper accounting, and that he had every intention of returning it to the staff fund. He claimed the video didn't show the full story, and that he had been unfairly vilified by social media. The response was immediate and brutal. Thousands of comments flooded the post. Out of context. "We all saw you pocket the money. Checking the cash. Why put it in your pocket then? You got caught. Just admit it." Even verified accounts joined in. A popular food critic with 500K followers wrote, "I've eaten at Ashford's restaurants. Never again." This apology is insulting, but the statement did do one thing. It brought the staff back into the spotlight. Emma, the server who had spoken to the news, responded with her own video. In it, she held up pay stubs showing how little she made. She explained that tips were sometimes 70% of her income. And she ended with this: "He says it was a misunderstanding, but we understand perfectly. He stole from us, and he thought he'd get away with it." Her video got 8 million views in 24 hours. By the following Monday, the damage was irreversible. 4 of Ashford's 12 restaurants had closed permanently. The rest were operating at half capacity with skeleton crews. His name, once associated with upscale dining, was now synonymous with greed and exploitation. Lawsuits started rolling in. Former employees filed claims for wage theft. The Massachusetts Attorney General's office announced an investigation into labor practices at all his establishments. And Marcus Ashford? He finally stepped down from his position as CEO, releasing a second statement, this time admitting fault and promising to make things right. But the internet wasn't buying it. The memes continued. The boycotts held strong, and the restaurants that once had month-long waitlists now sat empty. One TikTok video captured it perfectly. A user walked past Ashford's Bistro at night. The lights were off. A for lease sign hung in the window. The caption read, "From stealing tips to losing everything. That's karma." So what's the takeaway here? This wasn't just about a man stealing a few dollars. It was about power, entitlement, and the assumption that no one was watching. Marcus Ashford built an empire, but he forgot one crucial thing. The people who work for you are the foundation of that empire. And when you betray them, everything crumbles. In the digital age, there's no such thing as a private moment. Cameras are everywhere, and the internet, It never forgets. One 23-second video destroyed a $90 million empire. Not because of what he did, but because of what it revealed about who he really was. So here's the question: was this justice, or did the punishment exceed the crime? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns of viral scandals that changed everything, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.